I'm joined now by His Excellency Eduardo Fonseca. He is the Ambassador of Panama to the UAE and Saudi Arabia. So joining us here at ADIPEC, thank you so much for taking the time. Now tell me, Panama, of course, very, very interesting country in Latin America, huge role, and you have the Panama Canal. So you touch transportation, you touch oil and gas, you're very much at the heart of this. Tell me a little bit about how strategic and how important it is for Panama right now, the industry.
Well, it's very important for us to sort of become the gateway to Latin America. We are in the center of a strategic gateway, the crossing of the Panama Canal, and with the oil and gas sector, we've seen the amount of crossings of LNG vessels going from the east to the west and vice versa, increasing to almost 4 crossings a day. So this is a monumental shift that we didn't actually expect. It is something that's generating immense value to Panama. In fact, we just inaugurated Central America's first import facility, and we have a strategy of by 2050 producing 49% of our electricity from LNG. So it's quite important that Panama's role is seen not in the context of its own country, but rather in the context of a whole region. It's a region that by 2030 will have to increase its energy consumption by 70%, and its traditional sources of hydro are becoming harder and harder to become feasible. So there is going to be a significant growth of base power from the oil and gas sector, and it coincides quite nicely with the rise of the U.S. as a large gas exporter as well. So it's quite an exciting future. The message here is that Latin America is a mature, stable partner, investor-friendly, market-friendly, shifting, and we are a growth story.
Indeed, and very much open for business. I think it's maybe an area that people haven't focused and concentrated on enough, and particularly here, I think, in the oil and gas sector, we probably haven't focused on it. Of course, for Panama too, it also means tremendous growth, but you've done a lot of that infrastructure work already. The canal has been revitalized, revamped, expanded, so you were almost anticipating this, so it must be actually great that the traffic is coming, but now the infrastructure you're building around that, it must be phenomenal for your country as well.
Yes, of course. There is the infrastructure side of things. Latin America was a bit delayed in doing necessary infrastructure investments. We're making sure it does not happen again. We are opening up our doors, our regulations to FDI and investors that want to grow together to become part of our story. We are a US dollar economy, fastest growing in Latin America, very stable, very mature. And the most important message that we want to get across is that we are a reliable, dollar-based, centric, very much investor-friendly partner that is looking for growth in its oil and gas sector around the Panama Canal and its maritime cluster.
Now, of course, you work very much too with some of the other countries around there. It's not as if, Latin American countries can exist in silos, in unity. So again, how important is that perhaps, the widening of relations, and particularly when it comes from some of probably the other countries that have more oil, have more gas? You really should be moving as a bloc. Do you think so, and do you see any signs of that?
Yes, definitely energy diplomacy has changed significantly in the region. With the price downturn, we have seen that a lot of the NOCs around the region have opened up their doors to more private investments, have created regulation that's more predictable and long-term, are looking for different sources of financing, are looking abroad for different partners as well. So it's quite an exciting time for Latin America. It really is the rebirth of an oil and gas titan, as the panel was called. So we're actually quite keen and quite proactively looking for those partners, for those investments, and making sure that the conditions set for them are attractive for both.
So now you're ambassador here for the United Arab Emirates and for Saudi Arabia, and also when you look around here, you must be seeing a lot more interest over the years too in your region of the world as well, and investors here looking to Latin America and looking at the opportunities there, because of course oil and gas and that infrastructure growth, all of that will be there, but there's a lot more going on in the country as well, isn't it? A lot more.
Yes, most definitely. I think Latin America and the Middle East are natural partners. We're both emerging economies. We are relationship-based, and the true testament of this relationship is the UAE and Panama both opened up embassies in the last 4 years. Dubai Chamber opened up a regional office in Panama. Emirates has an office in Panama now. There are several state actors looking for opportunities. So it really goes beyond just a commercial relationship. It is more a cultural one. We have a strong Arab heritage in Latin America, which we're exploring. It's a story in its infancy. I would like to think that the world would look very differently a few years down the road. We're still very keen on the inauguration of the world's longest flight between Dubai and Panama, which obviously is something that has us all very excited. And just the warmth and the hospitality that we've received in the region from everyone, basically. It really speaks to Arab values, and it speaks to the potential that there is between our regions.
And that's very exciting, I think, looking at that potential. Now, here at ADIPEC for the last few days, it's very busy here. We have a lot of ministers, Latin American ministers here as well, a lot of big companies here, a lot of partners. I mean, a lot going on here. Have you had the chance to, walk around and talk to people? How important is, a world-class operation here like this here on your doorstep while you're here, which is great while you're in the UAE, of course?
It's fantastic, and it's actually a great honor to be on a panel on ADIPEC. I know last time we were on a panel was with the president of Panama, and that was a lot of fun as well. ADIPEC really is world-class. It is the center of the world. It is where the oil and gas decisions are met and made. So it is extremely important that we have at least the perspectives in the region and such a dynamic and fast-changing sector and industry. So again, it is a great honor to be in ADIPEC. It is the center of the oil and gas world, as we like to think about it. And it is fantastic. It is 10 minutes away from my house as well.